Welcome into PFF TV. I'm Sam Monson. He's Steve Palazzolo. We're going to talk to you about the mock draft version 2 that's dropping on ProFootballFocus.com right now. This video is sponsored by Eckrich, the official smoked sausage of the college football playoff. Steve, let's start at the top. Number one, remember this video is how's the draft order determined, Steve?
Oh yeah, this is the big one because most people end up discussing this instead. We did this draft order based off of heading into week 8, our win projection model, but it's important to remember it's all about the players and some of the fits more so than my team's going to be picking at number 32 after they win the Super Bowl.
Okay, so in this particular mock, the Arizona Cardinals have the number 1 overall pick. They are on the clock. And they got their quarterback last year, Steve, so where do they go this year?
Yeah, so that's kind of a big theme with this whole draft. A lot of teams that already have their quarterback, so they can pick the best players on the board. That's what the Cardinals do with Nick Bosa, a guy that has only played 140, 150 snaps this year. He's already preparing for the draft, but we have 2+ years of elite play from Nick Bosa, 90+ grades in the PFF system. He'll be the best player on our draft board heading into April, and he's the best player for the Cardinals if they're picking number 1 overall, an elite pass rusher, Nick Bosa.
He may be the better Bosa, and that's a pretty terrifying prospect given just how good Big Brother Joey has been in the NFL so far. What about the quarterback, Steve? That's the thing everybody wants to talk about every single draft. There was a whole load of those guys go in the first round last year, not so many this year.
Yeah, so it actually matches up pretty well with where the NFL is. I don't think there's a ton of teams looking for quarterbacks at this point. But of course, the New York Giants are. They made the choice to go Saquon Barkley last year at number 2 overall. In this projection, they're picking number 2 again. They have a chance to be picking number 1. And for this mock draft, it's Justin Herbert from Oregon. Now, there's a lot of rumors that Herbert's going to go back to school, and I do think he's going to be the clear number 1 quarterback at this point, despite last week he had a rough game at Arizona. So there's some concerns with his game, but he's probably the cleanest prospect as far as arm talent goes, athleticism, accuracy. He's had some big games this year against Stanford, played pretty well against Washington, against some pretty good tough defenses. So again, even though he struggled last week, Herbert's going to most likely be our top quarterback on the board, and the guy I think Giants fans are hoping does come out and that he does not go back to Oregon.
I mean, he could leave the Giants high and dry if he did, because the next quarterback doesn't come up until number 16, Dwayne Haskins from Ohio State, to the Miami Dolphins at 16.
Yeah, another guy. The only 2 quarterbacks end up in the first. So Haskins at 16, we say, okay, they're looking to move on from Ryan Tannehill. I think when you throw the Denver Broncos in the mix here, I mean, those are the 3 teams, Giants, Broncos, Dolphins, that are almost definitely looking for quarterbacks. I don't love Haskins maybe at this point in the draft. There are a lot of question marks with him, too. You look at his play under pressure. You can see it on ProFootballFocus.com. 91.2 grade from a clean pocket this year, but only 38.3 when under pressure. And a lot of those pressured snaps came at Penn State, at Purdue, those tough road games, just like we talked about with Justin Herbert. So there's some question marks to Haskins in his game, but he's a good polished passer. When he's throwing from a clean pocket, he's very accurate. And I do think eventually he progresses into a first-round caliber quarterback, so that's why we're throwing him to the Dolphins at 16.
One of the biggest storylines of this 2019 draft is definitely going to be the Oakland Raiders. In the midst of this rebuild project, John Gruden coming in, they've got about 15 draft picks at this point, Steve, 15 number 1 draft picks. The Khalil Mack trade, the Amari Cooper trade. Who are they picking with their 15 number 1 picks?
They only have 3, Sam. They only have 3. But this is, a potential franchise-changing draft, and the Raiders need it, obviously. And in this iteration, they're picking at 4. That's their own pick. And then 11, which is from the Dallas Cowboys, and then 14 from the Chicago Bears. Now, Bears fans might not like that they're picking that high, but in this iteration, they go all defense. And again, This is something they need. They need playmakers all over that defense. They start with DeAndre Baker, the cornerback from Georgia. He is our highest graded cornerback so far this year. At 11, they go Deontay Thompson, a safety from Alabama who can play free safety, strong safety, cover the slot. Our highest graded coverage safety so far this year. And then at 14, they go edge defender Brian Burns from Florida State. 51 pressures. That's 9 more than anyone else in the country so far this year. So they get a pass rusher. Those guys are tough to find. And they get 2 good coverage players. I'm not saying the Raiders have to go all defense next year when the actual draft happens, but the way the draft is matching up, it might be a good fit for them. They need defense. It's a good defensive draft. They can really revamp that side of the ball.
They're going to be a fun team to watch in that draft, not just because they have all those first-round picks, but because we saw in year 1 that John Gruden is going to be a little bit unconventional with what he takes in those picks. The guys they drafted this time a year ago were a little bit out of left field. We'll see what they do this time. The other team I think to focus on is another team with more than one draft pick. It's the Green Bay Packers. They obviously traded down in the draft last year to let the Saints snag Marcus Davenport. What are the Packers doing with their haul?
Yeah, so in this one, we've got them picking at 18. That's their own pick, and then 29 from the Saints. They go defense both times as well. They're going to grab Josh Allen from Kentucky, a guy who's really broken out this year. He's an edge defender who has off-the-ball coverage linebacker skills. You know, he's got our highest pass rush grade among all edge defenders this year, but there's plays on tape with him running down the seam with linebackers. That type of versatility is perfect for a Mike Pettin system that loves to blitz from all angles, so he can rush the passer off the edge and play coverage and play on the edge against the run. And then I feel like I mock a regular off-the-ball linebacker to them every single year, and they never really go that way. But Tavon Coney from Notre Dame, a guy who's a hammer against the run and has been really impressive in coverage this year, allowing only 42% of completions to be completed into his area this year. That's unheard of for a linebacker, so he's really improved. So I think they have a chance to really add some defensive talent to a defense that continues to progress over there in Green Bay.
So that's going to do it for this breakdown of our mock draft. Version 2, Steve, version 2. You can get the whole list on ProFootballFocus.com. If you head there with the promo code YouTube, you can save 20% off any PFF product. And don't forget, this video is brought to you by Eckrich, the official smoked sausage of the college football playoff. Make sure you hit up your local grocery store for this weekend's tailgate or homegate party and visit EckrichFootball.com for great game day recipes and to enter the season-long $1 Million Challenge.